understand the present, you have to understand the past. Which brings us to this fascinating story of a guy named William A. Clark. Now, for our listeners in Montana, you know who I'm talking about. Clark was one of the copper kings of the late 1800s in Montana. He made millions in the booming mining industry. He tried his hand at the electric industry, this brand new thing that Thomas Edison started, the newspaper industry. He owned banks. He owned insurance, railroad lines. He was involved in a lot of business. He got really, really rich. And then he decided, hey, let's run for political office. Be a big shot. I want to be the senator. He had this lifelong ambition of becoming an elected official and of getting the fame and power that came with it. So in 1899, he was the election of 1900, right? In the election of 1900, he wanted to be a U.S. senator. Now, back then, U.S. senators were not elected by we the people. That was an amendment to the Constitution in the 19-teens, the 17th Amendment. Back then, U.S. senators were chosen by their respective state legislators. So one afternoon, Clark walked into the Montana State Legislature and announced that he would be standing in the back of the room holding envelopes filled with $1,000 bills. And he said he'd give those envelopes to anyone who voted for him to be their senator, to represent them in Washington, D.C. And enough legislators voted for him and took his money that Montana sent him to Washington, D.C. as their senator for the 1900 legislative session. But William Clark's bribery scheme, this was so public. I mean, he was just right up front about it. He stood back there waving the envelopes. The newspaper reporters it was so brazen that even the largely corrupt U.S. Senate was horrified, and they refused to seat him after reading newspaper stories about his passing out these $1,000 bills to get elected. In fact, it was the notoriety of Clark's naked bribery attempt in Montana, which was well reported in newspapers across the country, that helped lead to the passage of the 17th Amendment, which said that we, the people, get to elect the senators instead of bought-off state legislators. So with all this notoriety, Clark pretty much became public enemy number one in the early 1900s. Mark Twain, yes, Sam Clemens, good old Mark Twain, wrote about Clark, quote, "He is as rotten a human being as can be found anywhere under the flag. He is a shame to the American nation, and no one who has helped to send him to the Senate who did not know that his proper place was in the penitentiary with a chain and a ball on his legs." Now, he died in 1925, but his willingness to corrupt the American democratic and political process is alive and well today. I mean, seriously, just look at the Koch brothers. David and Charles Koch are worth an estimated $68 billion. And they're among the driving forces behind the corruption of our democracy. Between 1998 and 2008, Koch brother-controlled foundations, they're not passing out $1,000 bills in the back of the room. They gave more than $196 million to organizations which favor policies that would pad the wallets of these two brothers. In that same time period, Koch Industries, owned by the two brothers, spent $50 million on lobbying and handed out $8 million in PAC contributions. Kochs are also behind groups like Americans for Prosperity and Freedom Works, which both gave and continue to give major financial support to the Koch-led Tea Party movement. And Freedom Partners, a Koch-affiliated organization, has doled out grants worth over $230 million to a variety of conservative organizations, Tea Party groups, and front groups that oppose Obamacare. Which brings us to the Keystone XL pipeline. This is incredible. Recently, the Koch brothers have been throwing their billions at lobbyists, front groups, and lawmakers who support the fossil fuel industry and the construction of the Keystone pipeline. They are the fossil fuel industry's largest donors to congressmen and women who sit on the committee that oversees the Keystone XL pipeline. In 2010 alone, the Kochs and their employees gave over $300,000 to members of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. This is the committee that oversees the Keystone pipeline. At the same time, Kochs have given more than $60 million over the last 15 years to groups that deny climate change. So why are they doing this? Why are they handing out money to people who support Keystone XL pipeline and support America's toxic addiction to fossil fuels? Simple answer. It's going to blow your mind. Money. And lots of it. According to a new report released by the International Forum on Globalization, the Koch brothers stand to make up to $100 billion in profits if the Keystone XL pipeline is approved. Keep in mind, these two guys are only worth $68 billion. This could double their net worth. The report found that the Kochs and Koch Industries hold up to 2 million acres of land in Alberta, Canada, which is the proposed starting point of the Keystone XL pipeline. And many Koch Industries subsidiaries are going to make millions on the pipeline's construction, including Koch Exploration Canada, which is going to profit from oil exploration on its land, Koch Supply and Trading, which would benefit from the trading of oil derivatives. I mean, they're looking at a $100 billion windfall down the road. That's more than double their combined fortune today. So, surprise, they're doing everything they can to make the Keystone XL pipeline a reality. I mean, look at back just last week. The Republicans in Congress tried to use the Keystone XL pipeline as leverage in the government shutdown, demanding that it be approved. Yeah, you got to prove this or we're not going to raise the debt ceiling. Right. Meanwhile, you and I are stuck with the byproducts of the Koch's relentless pursuit of money and power. Koch Industries is already one of the top 10 polluters in the United States, pumping millions of tons of CO2 into the atmosphere each year, driving global warming and climate change. And if the Keystone XL pipeline is finished, it'll make things even worse. Synthetic crude oil from tar sands generates 3 times the pollution of regular crude oil and is very poisonous. I mean, just small leaks in this pipeline could be catastrophic. So today, the ghost of William A. Clark is alive and well in the form of billionaires like the Koch brothers who are corrupting our political process while destroying the environment and poisoning us. We really shouldn't continue to let the likes of modern-day William A. Clarks continue to buy off the American political process. And for information on how to fix that, go to movetoamend.org. We'll be right back.